Okay, I'm looking at the barrel of the SIG P322, and this is something that SIG was talking about in their announcement, and I've kind of seen in real world that this is probably definitely a good thing. So SIG talked about in their announcement how the SIG P322 had a fluted chamber, and if you can see right in there, there is, looks like a pentagon. Basically there's 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see those little slots. That's not rifling, that's still in the chamber, so there you go. I think that got those better in focus. You can see those 5 kind of cuts there. That's actually in the chamber. That's fluting in the chamber. So there are 5 flutes there. And these are some rounds that I shot with it today, and you can see those lines on it right there. That's where those flutes are. So what's happening with those flutes is that as extraction is happening, there's actually air that is going up in, beside the casing and between the chamber wall, where normally you want that pretty tight. With these flutes, that allows air to kind of come between those. And I was just trying to think in my mind of how, the principle of why that works better. And what I thought of is if you've ever played air hockey, like the game you played at, arcade skating rink or whatever. I played at skating rink I grew up at, and how that the table of that air hockey table has little ports that's pushing air up, and as it's pushing air up, that little puck can slide around very freely. Now, if the air turns off, it still slides, but it doesn't slide near as smooth. As soon as you turn that air on, it just like glides around. And to me, I think that's what's happening, why that's made this so reliable, is that that air is basically like air on an air hockey table, and as it's coming out, it's just making the outside of the case, basically it's lubing it and making it where they extract very, very reliably. So at this point now, I've got about 15 to 1600 rounds through the P322, and I'll just tell you, I haven't cleaned it one single time. I think I gave it a light cleaning at the very first, like before I even shot it. But in those 15 to 1600 rounds, I haven't cleaned it one single time. And in those 15 to 1600 rounds, I've only had 2 malfunctions from the gun. I've had dud rounds where I put it back in, strike them, they went off and all that. So it was totally rounds on that. There's only been 2 problems. And both of those, I believe, were mag related. And that was very early on. And I haven't had that problem in probably 1,000 rounds now. So in 15 to 1600 rounds, I've had 2 malfunctions. I have many semi-auto 22s. I've never had a semi-auto 22 that has been that reliable. On a firearm like this, as long as it's decently accurate, and this is, I've put it on paper a couple times, and I'll show that in a full review, but it's accurate for sure. That's not the most important thing on this type of firearm for what it's for. It's for competition, that type of stuff. And in that, you're shooting at, shooting at steel. You don't have to. You're not shooting at, a 10-inch target at 100 yards or something like that. I mean, you could do that, but it's not what this is intended for. This is intended. The most important thing about this is that it would be reliable. And to me, this thing so far has been awesome. And I've shot cheap ammo, like lots of cheap ammo. Mainly that's what it's been. Winchester White Box, Remington Golden Bullet, Federal Auto Match. I've shot a little bit of mini mag and that type of stuff, whatever, some of the higher end, but for the most part, I'd say 95% of it has been cheap stuff. And there's been stuff whenever I shot it and I could feel like it felt underpowered. And on some other semi-autos that may have made it choke. It may have kept it from extracting properly. On this, I think with those flutes, it's helping to basically lube the outside of the case, between the case and the chamber wall, and allow it to just go ahead and extract even whenever the round itself probably wasn't powerful enough or whatever to actuate the action and all that. So I'm definitely going to keep shooting this thing and just trying it more and more, but I'm very, very impressed.